Joining us live now, National Senator Matt Canavan for a few of the day's top stories. So we're looking at another rate rise. It's the 10th straight out later on today. Matt, how do you feel about that?
Well, it's not great for Australian families. We're in this position because we spent too much money during COVID and governments weren't quick enough to turn that around. And we're in a tough situation. The only way to get out of a tough situation is to make tough choices. Delaying those tough choices will only make a bad situation worse. So it's very, very tough for Australian families. But what we need to do now is make sure we get our own fiscal house in order here in Canberra, rein in government spending. I don't think new taxes are the way to do that because that just hurts the economy overall. The government needs to do much more to show they're serious about controlling spending and helping the Reserve Bank, not working against them. When
you said you spent too much during COVID, what was too much? Was JobKeeper a mistake?
Well, I'm happy to be held accountable to my record and what I said at the time, publicly at the time. I was against the Home Builder program, against I don't think there was many with me at the time, but I thought that was way too excessive, paying for people's new kitchens and extensions. That was too much. I did think we should have reined back JobKeeper earlier, and I mentioned that, and I said that, argued for that in the party room. But look, that's water under the bridge now. It seemed to me that inflation was coming quickly, but all the so-called experts out there were saying it was transitory. Look, I think it's a great lesson to say that experts don't always get it right. We shouldn't just take what they say as gospel.
But you still support, the fundamentals of what JobKeeper was. You just wanted it reduced early. Is that how you're reflecting on that in hindsight?
I think after the first lockdown, it was pretty clear that the Australian economy was going well, and we had to change course. And that would have, I think, ameliorated some of these inflationary pressures we've got. We also had a situation in the 2021 budget. The government did say, made a mistake at the time. I was part of that government. We made a mistake saying we should go for 4% unemployment, and we didn't worry about inflation. So some of those decisions were broader than just the COVID response, but we didn't soon enough pivot to the fact the Australian economy recovered pretty quickly and early out of COVID. And as I say, the experts in Treasury were saying, I remember arguing with them about the Nauru. We can go into that in more depth if you've got time. But they predicted that inflation wouldn't peak with an inflation rate above 4%. They were horribly, horribly wrong, and the Australian families are paying for the price of that now.
What do you make of the government going back to the franking credits well?
Well, this is they're breaking all of their promises that they made before the last election. I'm sure negative gearing will be not long down the road here because effectively what Australia got when they elected Anthony Albanese last year was Bill Shorten. Bill Shorten took these policies to the 2019 election and they were categorically rejected by the Australian people.
He says this is different this time around, though. It's a more slimmed down version. You buy that?
Well, look, I mean, you're effectively getting the Bill Shorten policy platform. They're going after franking credits, they're going after superannuation, and as I say, who knows what's next, like negative gearing. Jim Chalmers wouldn't rule that out the other week. So this is the same platform that was rejected in 2019, and it's pretty clear what Labor did ahead of last year's election was put a thin veil over these policies that was only revealed to the Australian people after they were elected. Now, I don't think the Australian people take kindly to having promises broken, to being jibbed here, and I think we will see a reaction from the public about the Labor Party's continuing and growing list of broken promises.
A couple of quick mining stories, Matt. Queensland government expanding Copper String 2.0 between Townsville and Hewenden, a bit north of where you live, but it's all to get more clean power into the grid. Do you like that policy?
Well, actually, I think it might get more gas power into the grid, but good luck with the clean power too. I do support this project. It's one the former coalition government helped fund and get to this stage. So I hope it goes well. What it will do is allow the gas from the Northern Territory to be converted to electricity and sent to the East Coast. When this project was first conceived over a decade ago, the idea was it would allow cheaper electricity from Eastern Australia to flow to Mount Isa to help that massive wealth-producing area of the country. Unfortunately, we've wrecked our electricity system on the eastern coast, and so what we might end up doing is getting cheaper power from the Northern Territory thanks to this power line. But it is something we need to do, but we also need reliable power, whether that's through gas or coal or nuclear.
Okay, and final one here in New South Wales. Labor is floating the idea of buying back Eraring Power Station. This came after Matt Keane flagged that he might extend the life of it yesterday. What are your thoughts on that? It looks like it might be in safe hands, Eraring.
Well, it's going to happen. That we can't afford to lose 25% of New South Wales electricity supply. We saw from AEMO a couple of weeks ago, that's the energy regulator. They said that we're going to be short 8,000 megawatts of power over the next decade. That's about 4 Eraring power stations that we are short. It's a massive amount of power that we do not have and can't fill. This is 8,000 megawatts of dispatchable capacity, of reliable electricity. It can't be filled by wind or solar. And so while we need 8 gigawatts, 8,000 megawatts over the next 10 years, China announced this year that they're building over 100 gigawatts of coal-fired power in 1 year. And so why shouldn't we keep Eraring going to give cheaper and reliable power to Australians? I also think Liddell coal-fired power station should not be blown up. It'll have to be mothballed, but we should just keep it in reserve, because last night there's reports of power going out in Sydney. There was what's called an LOR2 event last night in Sydney, and this is third world stuff. How can we have a country with so much coal and gas and we can't allow people to have guaranteed power 24 hours?
Okay, Matt, we're out of time. Appreciate your time. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Peter.